Shalom, 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 Israel. First off, giving all honor and praises to Yahweh and to his son, Yahweh Shah. Happy Sabbath to brothers and sisters that's watching online. Happy Sabbath to brothers and sisters in here. We're coming to you with another Sabbath class. We're going into the Feast of Purim. Like we say, we know the destruction of Nicanor is getting set for tonight. And we know that we have the Feast of Purim going into Sunday night. So it's our job as a nation of people to understand about our history. A lot of times Esau has us up in their history classes, learning their holidays and so forth. And a lot of times we ask our brothers and sisters about these feasts and so forth, and they can't tell you nothing about it. Even people up in Christianity, they don't even know about it. They claim to read the Bible every Sunday. You know what I'm saying? So they cannot even tell you about the history of these high holy days and so forth. And like we say, we have real high holy days to celebrate our liberation. The holidays that we celebrate here in Babylon the Great, you think about 4th of July, our people were still in slavery. Like we say, we're still in slavery right now. That wasn't fighting for our freedom. That was fighting from their freedom from other Edomites and so forth. You know, even when you think about Christmas, think about Easter. These holidays have no benefits to us. But when we read about our high holy days in the Bible, they have all the benefits, and they're very profitable to us as a nation of people. So it's our job to, guess what, read over these things, go through these scriptures, and guess what, understand your history. First precept, we're going to go to the class and go to the book of Judges, chapter 5, verse 11. Go to the main precept we always pull because, you know, we hear some brothers may teach we only keeping the laws in the Torah. No, we're going to keep the laws throughout Genesis to Revelation. If it's in the Bible, man, and it's of the Most High God, and we're going to keep those things, man. You get to read that out.
The book of Judges, chapter 5, verse 11. They that are delivered from the noise of archers in the places of drawing water.
It says, they that are delivered from the noise of archers. And we don't went through this many times. We know we have new brothers and sisters in there, so we always love to what? Reiterate these things so they can have these precepts down. It says, they that are delivered from the noise of archers. Those noise of archers is going into what? Thermonuclear destruction. In the places of drawing water is the place of servitude. Right now, over here in America, we are in the place of servitude because we're on the bottom of society in every facet. You know, all these things, our people are ranked at the bottom of the totem pole. Read on up.
There shall they rehearse the righteous acts of the Lord.
It says there. Over here in our captivity, we're commanded to do what? Rehearse the righteous acts. No longer celebrating Sunday worship. No longer celebrating Christmas. 4th of July. Anniversaries. Birthdays. These things are not in the Bible. Read on up.
Even the righteous, even the righteous acts toward the inhabitants of his villages in Israel. Then shall the people of the Lord go down to the gate.
So we're waiting on these things. It's our job as a nation of people to practice this thing. Because in the world, now it's lights, camera, action. And brothers and sisters that don't have their spirit lined up with the Most High God's commandments, Christ is going to put your lights out. And we got to speak plain about these things. It's our job to come in and have a good. That's our job as a nation of people. Matter of fact, let me get that in Ecclesiastes. I know I can always pull that because the Most High God command us mirth and a good time. Book of Ecclesiastes, chapter 8, verse 15.
The book of Ecclesiastes, chapter 8, verse 15. Then I commended mirth.
Then I commended mirth, meaning what? The Most High God is blessing us to, guess what? Have a good time. Mirth is having a good time with music, dancing, strong drink, and so forth. But the thing is, brothers want to be in the spirit when they're doing those things. Sisters want to be in the spirit. You don't want to come in here, done drunk too much. You know, you staggering, you slurring in your speech, you all loud and so forth. Brothers and sisters got to check that. Don't nobody want to be around a person like that, man. You know that drunk person that was always at the club. A lot of times they was over there by themselves unless the sister was helping pull their hair back from throwing up. So nobody wants to be around that type of person, man. It's our job to do what? Set the example. It's okay to have a good time, but we do what? In moderation. We want to be throwing up. Hey, that stuff is told
Than to eat.
than to what?
Than to eat.
Because at the feast day, that's what we're going to do. We're going to eat. Like we said, that's why the brothers just going over that. Even the Bible commands us to do what? Don't come empty-handed. You know, everybody brings something so we can have a real good time. Read on up.
Than to eat and to drink and to be merry.
And to be merry, because we know strong drink can make brothers and sisters merry. Hell, I might every now and then might have a little drink or something. But the thing is to do what? Have it in moderation. Read on up.
For that shall abide with him of his labor the days of his life, which God giveth him under the sun.
The Most High God has commanded us to have a good time in his high holy days. You don't want to be that sister that come in with the sad spirit that dampens everybody's spirit, or that brother who's got that sad countenance and you taking the life out of the party. Hey, we don't want to be like that. We want to come in and have a good time amongst one another. Y'all know how the battle axes get down when we celebrating the Most High God's high holy day. Here we get into it. Kind of does something to you. Let's go to the book of Esther. Like I say, you want to make sure that you're taking notes on these things, going back, watching the videos, learning our history. Because I know they talk about Black History Month every day when you got the Bible, man. We don't need no damn 28 days out of a damn month to justify our history. You can't compact Black history or Israelite history into a damn month any damn way. That's just a mockery, man, that Esau does to our people every single day, especially in this month. Because like we say, they talk about Black history, but Hispanics and Native Americans are Israelites. So where's that history at? You know, they even do them the same way, but not knowing that we are what? We are all one nation of people, man. We the Israelites. And our history is every damn day, man. When you open this Bible, read this.
The book of Esther, chapter 1, verse 1. Now it came to pass in the days of Ahasuerus.
Ahasuerus is Xerxes the first. Like we say, it's very important that brothers, we know the history. Brothers got to be able to dig into the history. It's no way around those things. A lot of times when you're hearing about world history going around, world history is Bible history. Matter of fact, we got to bring this thing up. Even with Brother Ernest, he texted us his sons, and that was something I ain't gonna even lie, man. That me and Captain Yah was talking about it. Brother Ernest's son, they gave him a question on his history test, which said King Cyrus, during the time of the Persian rule in the Fertile Crescent, the Hebrews were in what condition? We're like, what the hell? We never seen Hebrews on our history test. I'm talking about we've never seen that on our history test. So a lot of times, brothers and sisters, even the younger brothers and sisters, you thinking history don't line up with the Bible, man, you sadly mistaken. Because even by reading the question, I immediately understood what the answer was. It said, were they laying bricks? Were they in servitude? Or did he let them go back to their homeland? What was the answer, brothers? And that's the thing. It's slavery, but what did King Cyrus do?
A decree to let them go home and build a temple.
Exactly.
But they was in slavery.
They was in slavery.
Or
But
slavery.
he gave the decree to do what? Let them go back home. That was the decree. That's what we're reading about even in Esther and so forth. When you get to books like Ezra, Nehemiah, Esther, these are all going into like the same timelines and so forth. Read verse 1 again up.
Esther chapter 1, verse 1. Now it came to pass in the days of Ahasuerus. This is Ahasuerus which reigned from India even unto Ethiopia, over 127 provinces.
So this is letting you know that what? Like at the the top of your book, you want to put what captivity? Persian captivity. You know, and like we say, even when you get into it, you see that this specific Persian Ahasuerus, which is Xerxes the first, he ruled about 748 BC. 485 BC, Salakia, through 465 BC. So, like we say, Salakia on that. Xerxes reigned about 485 BC to 465 BC. And even in these time periods, you can see during 478 BC, that's when he made our sister Esther his queen or his wife, basically. Read on up.
Verse 3. In the 3rd year of his reign, he made a feast unto all princes and his servants, the power of Persia and Media.
So this is when they what? Was in their superpowers during this time. They ruled, like you said, from Ethiopia unto India. And I know when brothers and sisters look on that thing on the map, that was a large providence. This was the next superpower to reign. We know we got what? We have the Egyptians rule first. The Assyrians ruled second. The Babylonians third. Persian and Mede fourth. Who came after the Persian and Medes? The Greeks. Then the Romans. Now we're in the American captivity. Read on up.
Verse 3. In the 3rd year of his reign, he made a feast unto all his princes and his servants, the power of Persia and Media, the nobles and princes of the provinces.
So you know how they do when they conquer. They make a feast unto themselves. Read on up.
Verse 4. When he showed the riches of his glorious kingdom and the honor of his excellent majesty many days, even 180 days. And when these days were expired, the king made a feast unto all the people that were present in Shushan, the palace, both unto great and small, 7 days, in the court of the garden of the king's palace. Were white, green, and blue hangings, fashioned with cords of fine linen and purple to silver rings, and pillars, and
putting all nice down to verse 8.
Verse 8. And the drinking was according to the law.
Read that again up.
And the drinking was according to the law.
Read that one more.
According to the law.
Because even during that time, they had laws on drinking and so forth. We know a lot of these also want to do what? Drink modestly. Let's get a quick precept real quick. Give me the book of Sirach. Sirach chapter 31 and verse 27.
The book of Sirach chapter 31 verse 27. Wine is as good as life to a man, if it be drunk moderately.
That was the point. If it's drunken what? Moderately. Read on up.
What life is then to a man that is without wine. For it was made to bring it gladness of the heart.
It says wine measurably drunk and in season bring it gladness of the heart. Read on up.
And cheerfulness of the mind.
And the mind. Read on up.
But wine drunken with excess maketh bitterness of the mind.
Read that again up.
But wine drunken with excess maketh bitterness of the mind.
So brothers and sisters have to watch the things and how much they can take in. Some brothers and sisters can take in quite a bit. Just because you can don't mean that you should. That's the thing. You want to be able to, guess what, rule your spirit and guess what, have discipline and know when and how much to drink. Brother, what the hell are you talking about? Hey, brother, you know, man, brother, I love you so much, brother. Brother, I just stop. So like I said, go home. We ain't gonna be playing the games, man, because then you're gonna be dampening the party for everybody. Like, come on, man, brothers and sisters have to learn to start checking their spirits in these last days as we get closer and closer. Read that again, up.
Verse 29. But wine drunken with excess maketh bitterness of the mind, with brawling and quarreling.
And then you know how we see many fights. You see how them fights go out. Uncle Elroy and Uncle Junior fighting at the barbecue because they done drunk too damn much. Or Sister Sheila and I'm finna say Sister Esther, but I ain't want to use Sister Esther name like that. Y'all know them ain'ts. Like I use my Aunt Peaches. So hey, y'all know how these things go. Read on up.
Verse 30. Drunkenness increaseth the rage of a fool till he offend.
Till he what?
I shall like it. Drunkenness increaseth the rage of a fool till he offend. It diminishes strength and maketh wounds.
It diminishes your spiritual strength as well as your physical strength. Because that's where you get to what the sisters want to always make sure that they're in the spirit, especially when they drink. Because drinking does what? It puts spirits on you. You know, drinking is something powerful, man. How many people do we see out there that are bums out there or homeless out there in downtown Dallas because they can't shake that drinking spirit? Hey, we see it all the time, man. So it's our job not to be like that, man, and to hold each other accountable. Go ahead.
Going back to verse 28, wine measurably drunk and in season.
That's right.
It ain't your season every day to drink. Brothers out there think they season every day to drink. Because think about it, you haven't gone through some problem at home, family member pass away or something, you just go get drunk and toe up. You get drunk and then guess what? You go do something rash or make a rash decision and do something that you shouldn't do because that's not the season for you to be drinking. That's the season to be mourning.
That's right.
Right? You want to get over these things, so you don't want to drink wine every day in excess because everything is done in the season, man. Jeremiah always says, man, it's a season for everything. Every day is not your season to drink.
That's right.
You know what I'm saying?
Show what? Discipline. Show that you can rule your spirit according to the scriptures. Let's go back to the book of Esther.
Let me pull one. Right
Go ahead, Doc.
Proverbs 23 and 30.
And we know brothers and sisters that deal in these things, y'all need to go home and do what? Meditate on these things. Brothers online, sisters online that have that drinking problem. Write these precepts down, man. Meditate on these things, man. Fast. Ask the Most High God to take that drinking spirit away from you if you're doing it in excess. Go ahead, Doc.
The book of Proverbs, chapter 23, verse 30. They that tarry long at the wine, they that go to seek mixed wine. Look not thou upon the wine when it is red.
The one that's drinking all the time and mixing stuff up, hey, that light with that dark and all these other things do it.
When it giveth his color in the cup, when he moveth itself aright.
You know that when that's them cats that woo-hoo, looking at that color. Ooh.
At Sirach. All right, at the verse 32. At the last it bited like a serpent.
It what?
It bited like a serpent.
Yeah, it should be feeling good, boy, but that hangover ain't no joke neither, boy. Like our brother said, that throwing up ain't no joke either, boy. Them car wrecks out there is no joke, man. It's gonna bite you. Don't think it ain't. Go ahead.
And stingeth like an adder.
The what?
And stingeth like an adder.
Mm-hmm. You wake up in the morning, you feel that sting. It was good last night, but this morning, it's stung like an adder, boy. And barely ain't even helping you. You trying all kind of stuff, raw eggs, all that stuff, throwing up, doing all that, man. Go ahead. We all had them nights we ever been drinking before. You had that time. Go ahead.
33. Thine eyes shall behold strange women, and thine heart shall utter perverse things.
Yeah, and then you be coming on, how I get in the bed with this woman? She was pretty last night, boy, and then next thing you know, boy, she looked just like your dog the next morning, because, I mean, that's what you got. She looked great with that wine. That wine made all that. You mean, do women the same thing? Nigga don't look good, boy, and then wake up in the morning, boy, this nigga look like a horse.
Read that part again, Doc. Little touchy-feely and so forth.
Saying perverse thing. Perverse thing, yeah.
They say,
Leon,
like
I
I
love.
Leon, what you say?
They want to love.
We make laugh and
Wake up. How I get all these cars? I done seen a whole lot of people getting just up. Man, you got toe up last night. They whooped your ass. Yes, you got in a fight. You running your mouth. Said something strange to that woman. Her boyfriend sitting right there and whoop you.
And guess what? And there's a lot of people stop drinking because of this right here. They get too drunk, and guess what happens? They like, man, every time I drink, I keep getting my butt kicked. I might need to stop drinking. So it'll make a lot of people stop drinking because they keep getting them knocks put on their head. They like, all right, okay, that's enough.
Yeah, all the dudes that I grew up with, man, the ones that used to drink all the time, man. Oh, boy.
hey, we all know.
And we we had a dude named Jackie Knotshot. You remember him? You remember him back in the day?
Knotshot too?
Yeah, man. He was an alcoholic. But every time he turned around, boy, that mother had them cartoon knots on his head. Big old. I mean, kind of you just do that with his head. Because he was always getting into something he was always drunk. You could be doing nothing. He gonna come over there and just go off on you. And people just be like, they try to put up with it, but then I noticed by Friday, through Monday, till Monday, boy, he just had knots. Boy, it looked like a little crater around that mother. It looked like a star. He was just had knots because he was getting his butt kicked every weekend off of his alcohol.
Sometime every day.
Yeah, every day. You right. And it was constantly. But he was just one of them. What's so bad about it when you see him whenever you caught him sober, it's very rare. Wasn't nothing like it.
Finish that out.
They have beaten me, and I felt it not. When shall I awake? I will seek it yet again.
And a lot of times, like we say, they wake up and do the same thing over again until they gonna get that real knot, man. The one that they can't wake up from one day. Let's go back to Esther, chapter 1 and verse 8 again.
Esther chapter 1 verse 8. And the drinking was according to the law. None did compel. For so the king had appointed to all the officers of his house that they should do according to every man's pleasure.
Every man's pleasure is what? How much they can take in, not in excess. Read on out.
Also Vashti, the queen, made a feast for the women in the royal house, which belonged to King Ahasuerus.
So his queen or his wife during that time, Vashti. Read on out.
On the 7th day, when the heart of the king was merry with wine, he commanded Mehuman, Biztha, Harbona, Bigtha, and Abigail was fair to look on.
Read on out.
12. But the queen Vashti refused to come at the king's commandment by his chamber.
By his what?
By his chamber.
So his wife didn't want to be obedient unto him. Read on out.
Therefore was the king very wroth, and his anger burned in him.
Read on.
Then the king said to the wise men, which knew the times, for so was the king's manner toward all that knew law and judgment.
So he counseled among his people that knew the law and judgment. Read on out.
And the next unto him was Karshina, Shertha, Amatha, Tarshish, Meres, Marcina, and Memucan, the 7 princes of Persia and Media, which saw the
job to do what? Adhere to what the king say, especially his wife. You know, you don't have your wife in order, then shoot, they'll be looking at you like, how the hell you gonna try to teach me? And if your wife ain't in order, how you gonna guide the king? These things are very, very important, even for the sisters, like we say, that have husbands, to do what? To be in obedient unto their husband according to the Most High God. These things are very, very, very important, man. Because a lot of times a nation is proved by if sisters are in order. Congregations are proved by if sisters are in order. You know, if sisters are in order, then hey, we knowing that, guess what? Brothers ruling that thing kind of right, man. So this is something that sisters got to meditate on. To always want to be what? In order with their husbands. Husbands may make wrong decisions, but guess what? His head will chastise him. That's not your job to go back and forth at your husband. That's not your job. Even for single sisters. This is training y'all way on up to be Lord's will whenever y'all get a husband. These things are very, very pertinent for today, man. Read on up.
Verse 16. And Memucan answered before the king of the princes, Vashti, the queen, had not done wrong to the king only, but also to all the princes and to all the people that are in the provinces of the king of Ahasuerus.
Because we know that ultimately, if they seeing her doing this, then that'll do what? Put a spirit on the other women in the kingdom to do what? To do the same thing. A lot of times, that's why we have to go at certain spirits that we see pop up, because that thing will do what? Spread like cancer. That thing will spread like a wildfire. Go ahead, Doc.
And that's the reason why you see, because like if Esau would have stopped these women from wearing pants back then, they wouldn't be wearing them now. That's the same thing. They allowed them to wear pants back then. Then guess what? It was a spiral thing, one thing after another. Now you got the women's movement. Now the woman done compassed the man because of what? They didn't stop it. Go ahead.
And like they say, like you said, they know our laws, man. Everything is done, like you say. White history has come from what? Israelite history.
That's right.
Their laws come from what? Our laws. All these other books and doctrines come from what? Our book. You know what I'm saying? Let me get a precept real quick. Wisdom of Solomon 10 and 8. So they knew things they knew some things, you know what I'm saying? That because of us. And they knew that these things would hinder them. Like they said, not only is she hindering the king, but she hindering other people. That's what we tell brothers and sisters. We got to knock them spirits off. Because that thing, brothers and sisters, man.
And that's the spirit that brothers and sisters got to be thinking in too. I read it. If, like we say, if I don't check this spirit, hey, this spirit that I'm dealing with might jump on this brother, might jump on this sister. That's loving your brother as you love yourself, man. That's the epitome of that verse, man. To be thinking like, damn, if I sin, hey, this making drag another brother down, man. We have to be on that type of a level. This is the book of Wisdom of Solomon, chapter 10 and verse 8. For regarding not wisdom, they get not only this hurt.
They get not only this hurt, so it just doesn't offend that person or affect that one person, but what?
that they knew not the things which were good, but also left behind them to the world a memorial of their foolishness.
They left behind a memorial of their foolishness. Like I said, they left a whole bunch of breadcrumbs. Oh, come follow this. Don't follow this path. Not only did they get themselves and mess up themselves by not knowing the truth, but they left behind a picture for brothers and sisters to see. Or in this case, she left.
So that in the things wherein they offended, they could not so much as be hid.
And it won't be hid when you leave it open, when you got an open door for things to happen. That's why we got to close these doors on things. Brothers and sisters got to understand where we come from when we all start to rebuking different things that's going on in the congregation right now. Because the season that we're in, we feel like it's time to hit these things on the nail right now, because it'll open the door for the next person, the next brother, and we can't have that on our watch, man. So it opens up a gateway for other things, for other people to look and see, well, guess what, I can do that too.
That's right. And you should always want to have good reputation in the name, in the nation of Israel. You want a good name, a good reputation. You don't want to be known for that sister, this and that.
And Memucan answered before the king and the princes, Vashti the queen had not done wrong to the king only, but also to all the princes and to all the people that are in the provinces of the king Ahasuerus. For this deed of the queen shall come abroad unto all women, so that they shall despise their husbands in their eyes.
Read that again.
For this deed of the queen shall come abroad unto all women, so that they shall despise their husbands in their eyes.
So they have to do what? Put this thing in check before this thing spread like a wildfire. Like we have to do with certain spirits in here. Really all spirits that's going contrary to the scriptures. Read on.
When it shall be reported, the king Ahasuerus commanded Vashti the queen to be brought in before him, but she came not.
Didn't obey the king. Read on up.
Likewise shall the ladies of Persia and Media say this day unto all the king's princes, which have heard of the deed of the queen. Thus shall there arise too much contempt and wrath.
Read on.
If it please the king, let there go a royal commandment from him, and let it be written among the laws of the Persians and the Medes, that it be not altered.
So brothers have to put what? New laws in place to guess what? Check this spirit. Read on up.
That it be not altered, that Vashti come no more before King Ahasuerus, and let the king give her royal estate unto another that is better than she.
So guess what? For her being out of order, she basically got what? Finna get replaced. Hey, you don't like your role? You don't like the position that the Most High God has given you? A lot of times the Most High God will do what? Take that position and give it to somebody else, man. Somebody that's going to do what? Be diligent in the work. Somebody that's going to be what? Sincere about the work. This is things to remind brothers, man, especially as we move closer and closer. You don't never want to not be diligent in this truth. As we get closer and closer to the end, you want to do what? Be more diligent in this walk, man. Being less diligent, the Most High God can literally take his spirit away from you, man. He can literally do those things, man. Like we say, if you want to put in half the time, no, Most High God ain't dealing in that type of spirit, man. You go 100%, or shoot, go home, man. Read on up.
Verse 20. And when the king's decree, which he shall make, shall be published throughout all his empire, for it is great. All the wives shall give to their husband honor, both to great and small.
So he made a law, a commandment for wives to do what? Honor their husbands. Like we say, it's the same thing like how we get out of our scriptures, man. That's the same thing. You reverence your husbands, like we say. Because he is the head. We ain't talking about wicked Negroes out here in the world and so forth. No, we're talking about a brother that's literally, guess what, trying to keep the commandments of the Most High God, that's trying to guide his household according to the Bible. That is a husband that you should reverence when you see him trying to keep the commandments. You got some more? Read on up.
Verse 21. And the same pleased the king and the princes, and the king did according to the word of Memucan.
Jump down to chapter 2, verse 1.
Chapter 2, verse 1 of Esther. After these things, when the wrath of King Ahasuerus was appeased, Sirach, he remembered Vashti and what she had done, and what was decreed against her. Then said the king's servant that ministered to be fair young virgins sought for the king.
Because even during this time, we see that, guess what, if a sister got out of order, guess what, she was quickly replaced, man. I'm talking about quickly replaced. We even see that during King David. Let's see if I can find it, man. With Micah. Like we say, sisters that wasn't in order. Let me see. Bear with me, brothers and sisters. Find it,
And just like what I'm going into, like even when you go back to read verse 20, it said, when the king decree which he shall make be published throughout all the empire, for it is great. It was great because what? That law was written in Genesis chapter 3, verse 16.
Mm-hmm.
Because the woman's desires should have been towards her husband in the first place. So when he asked her to do something, she should have been, okay, yeah, this is what I'm supposed to do. So they thinking he went talk to their wise man, but guess what? They wise man literally looking at our laws and yeah, that was good, man. Let's put this on ours. That's the same thing they do right now. They look at our laws. Guess what? They say the Old Testament is done away with, but why is murder a sin? Dang, that's in their book. That's pretty good. I don't want that to happen to me neither. That's why when we make it to the kingdom and we start beating their backs in, guess what they still gonna say? We're a wise and understanding nation. Why? Because of our laws. Go to 1 Timothy chapter 3, verse 5 right quick.
Mike, I got it right here.
You got it?
In 2 Samuel. Yeah, you go ahead and touch on that right quick.
The question they asked, so that's why he had to try to put those things in check, man. Sister out of order, guess what? His wife out of order, so he had to put her in check. This goes back right into how it is the modern day too. Guess what? Right?
So go get my slides, man. You looked at it.
No,
We ain't saying that.
We ain't saying that now. Because we know in Matthew chapter 19 what Christ said. The only way you can put her away. So, I mean, we still have to go at them spirits, though. So guess what? If she out of order, guess what? Don't sit up there and let her keep being out of order. You not say nothing. You not say nothing. Because guess what happened when you not say nothing? That judgment come on you. We got to be careful to get. Well, I don't care if she can continue to keep doing it as long as you continue to keep telling her the Most High God see it. And when he trying to do it, he's trying to keep this thing when it's on her.
The book of 2 Samuel, chapter 6, verse 16. And as the ark of the Lord came into the city of David, Michal, Saul's daughter, Saul's daughter, looked through a window and saw King David leaping and dancing before the Lord. And she despised him in her heart.
And she did what?
And she despised him in her heart.
So his own wife despised him in his heart because David was celebrating for getting the Ark of the Covenant back. That's the thing to celebrate the Most High God on, man. He's blessing us to, guess what, get the Ark of the Covenant back. Guess what, we're going to have a good time and celebrate and praise the Lord for that. And she despised King David in her heart. Jump down to verse 20.
Verse 20. Then David returned to bless his household. And Michal, the daughter of Saul, came out to meet David and said, how glorious was the king of Israel to David.
You know how sisters can be, man. Judah, Benjamin. With that, you have to literally put yourself in this. It says, now, was he doing this to please other women? No, he was doing this to celebrate the Most High God, man. And she took it to, guess what, try to one-up him on those things. Read on up.
21. And David said to...
Hold up, being what? Being a petty Betty. Don't be petty in this thing, man. Read on up.
And David said unto Michal, it was before the Lord, which chose me before thy father, and before all his house.
See, you just mad because the Most High God chose me instead of your dad. Read on up.
To appoint me ruler over the people of the Lord, over Israel. Therefore...
But I'm going to have a good time for the Lord, man, because he did a glorious thing. Read on up.
22. And I will yet be more vile than thus, and will be base in mine own
lives that he dealt with. So it's just going into even like what this Persian king is doing with Vashti. He literally put her away, but like we say, we couldn't do those things. Let's go back to the book of Esther.
The book of Esther, chapter 2, verse 3. And let the king appoint officers in all thy provinces of his kingdom, that they may gather together all the fair young virgins unto Shushan.
So he's looking for other young fair virgins for him. Jump down to verse 5.
Verse 5. Now in Shushan, the palace, there was a certain Jew whose name was Mordecai.
Whose name was what?
Mordecai.
So this is going into Mordecai. Read on.
The son of Kish, a Benjamite.
So we know that what? Mordecai was a Benjamite. Read on up.
Who had been carried away from Jerusalem with the captivity, which had been carried away with Jeconiah, king of Judah, who Nebuchadnezzar, the king of Babylon, had carried away.
So a lot of times you see that these captivities were overlapping. Hey, we have the Babylonian captivity. Right after that, 70 years later, hey, the Persian and Medes overtook the Babylonians, and we went into captivity on the Persians. So a lot of these captivities overlapped each other. Read on up.
Verse 7. And he brought up Hadassah, that is Esther, this uncle's daughter. His uncle's daughter. His uncle's daughter. For she had neither father nor mother, and the maid was fair and beautiful.
Like all of our sisters are in Israel. You know, we have the best looking sisters in the world in Israel, man. So it's no need to want to try to, guess what, make yourself look like Esau, make yourself look like the other nations. When the Most High God made y'all the most beautiful creatures on the planet Earth. Read on up.
Whom Mordecai, when her father and mother were dead, took of his own daughter.
So he took her in, like how we supposed to do. When a brother may fall short in his walk, mother may fall short, guess what? The next brothers and the next sisters step up in line to, guess what? Take care of their son or their daughter. You know, that's how we held it down in the nation. Orphans and so forth, not getting proper guidance. Then they end up on the streets and so forth, and then they lost to the world. But if we kept our law, statutes, commandments, hey, even the brothers or the sisters' mothers that fell in this truth, they still will be well taken care of, man. Read on up.
Verse 8. So it came to pass, when the king's commandment and his decree was heard, and when the many maidens to the custody of Hegai, that Esther, who brought also unto the king's house, to the custody of Hegai, keeper of the women.
So he had this eunuch that was the keeper of the women. Jump down to verse 10.
Verse 10. Esther had not shown her people nor her kindred.
That many what Israelites should look like the Sidney Poitiers or Wesley Snipes. Like all Israelites look like that. Man, stop, man. We come from a very light to a very dark, especially with the northern tribe, with them doing what? Mixing with all other nations. Yes, they all started out dark, but through mixing of the other nations, guess what? We have various looks. You may have Israelites with the long, stringy hair, the curly hair, the woolly texture hair. Everybody's not always looking like Wesley Snipes and Whoopi Goldberg.
And keep in mind, guess what? That wasn't a northern tribe. She was a Benjamite.
That's right. That's exactly right. That's a damn good point. Jump down to verse 12.
Verse 12. Now, when every maid's turn was come to go into King Ahasuerus, after that she had been 12 months, for so were the days of their purifications accomplished. To wit, 6 months with oil of myrrh, and 6 months with sweet odors, and with other things from the purifying of the women.
So, to prepare these sisters, they went through a process called the purification. Now, I know all sisters can attest to this. Just imagine you getting pampered and oiled up for a whole year for your Lord. Another 6 months of just your best perfumes in the world. This is something that, guess what? Sisters, y'all should be trying to adhere back to this thing, man. That's what keeping the commandments is all about, because in the kingdom, what y'all think y'all be doing? Be getting pampered the whole time, man. Smelling like the best perfumes. You ain't giving it that stuff that other nations got that have. You're getting the best of the best. This is something to, guess what, to be looking forward to, man. To be in the right spirit to get. Read on up.
Verse 13. Then thus came every maiden unto the king. Whatsoever she desired was given her, to go with her out of the house of the women unto the king's house.
So anything that they wanted, it was at their beck and call. Jump down to verse 15.
Esther, the daughter of Abihail, the uncle of Mordecai, who had taken her for his daughter, was come to go into the king. She required nothing but what Hegai, the king's chamberlain, the keeper of the woman, appointed. And Esther obtained favor in the sight of all them that looked upon her.
So you have the other sisters in there. Hey, I want this, I want that. But Esther was what? She was content with what they gave her. That's how she gave favor as well. Not to say that sisters can't ask for nothing. You know, there's nothing wrong with that. You know, but you want to make sure that, guess what? You can be content to what your husband can afford. Oh, I need that S550. I just got to have that. Baby, what you need that for? I don't know. Well, what's wrong with your little Toyota? Can it get you from A to B? Yes, so why you need that then? You know, you want to always be considerate and be content with what the Most High God have blessed us with, man, in this time.
Yes, man. Like, Esther wasn't looking for the eyelashes, man. She wasn't trying to put them on, man. She was content with her natural beauty, man. Like I said, she didn't have to do everything. She didn't have to go, like I said, with a braided hair or with all these arrays of jewels and things. She didn't have to do that. She showed her beauty, her natural beauty. That's what we have, man, as a nation of Israel, man.
Yeah, something. Jump down to read verse 16.
Verse 16. So Esther was taken into King Ahasuerus into his house raw in the 10th month, which is the month Tebet.
Which is the month Tebet. Now Tebet is between what? December and January. You're going into the 10th month. Read on up.
In the 7th year of his reign.
But y'all know during this time we was up under what? Persian and Media rule. So this is a Persian name because we named our months what? The 10th month, the 11th month, the 12th month. We didn't put names on our months like that. Read on up.
17. And the king loved Esther above all the women.
Read that again up.
And the king loved Esther above all the women.
Because she was beautiful and guess what? She understood her place. She didn't want to.
And made her queen instead of Vashti.
So you know Sister Hadassah and Sister Esther, she had to be bad, man. Let's think about it. Very beautiful. But not only was she beautiful, she also did what acted the part. Because sisters may be very beautiful on the outside, but can be very ugly.
She was queen to what? A person from another nation, right? So she was up on a high horse. Don't get it wrong. She was up on a high horse, but she really wasn't. We can prove that. Watch this. Go to Esther chapter 14 right quick. Esther chapter, if y'all want to go back and forth in this story, Esther chapter 14 is the prayer Esther said to the Most High right before. I don't want to spoil the story.
No, go ahead. We're going to jump back and forth anyway. We're going to cover a little bit, just a little bit. Go ahead.
But what the reason why she was so content with the stuff that she, because of this right here, because she loved her nation, right? Read that right quick. Esther chapter 14, verse 15.
The book of Esther, chapter 14, verse 15. Thou knowest all things, O Lord. Thou knowest that I hate the glory of the unrighteous.
She said she hate the glory of the unrighteous. Man, read.
And abhor the bed of the uncircumcised. And all of the heathens.
So she hated she didn't even like the heathens, man. But guess what, man? She was chose to do a job, to be a queen. So guess what? Hey, she had to play her role. Verse 16 is the point.
Thou knowest my necessity. For I abhor the sign of my high estate.
She said she abhorred the sign of her high estate, man. She didn't even really want to do it, but guess what? That's what she had to do. Guess what? Esther was really, doing the job for her nation too, as we go into the story. Read on.
Which is upon mine head in the days wherein I shew myself. And that I abhor it as a mistress
rag.
And that I wear it not when I am private by myself.
So guess what? She said she abhorred her state as a mistress rag. She didn't even want to be in the palace. She wanted to be, want to live a regular life as an Israelite. So guess what? That's so when they try to give her all these things, guess what? Sister Muhammad, I don't want that. I don't need that. Guess what, man? You got to have the apocrypha. This is in the apocrypha.
You said Esther.
Esther. The rest of Esther in the apocrypha. If a brother got an apocrypha, let Ox see it.
That's what I said. But anyway, just like you say,
Esther.
Yes, Esther. That's what we read.
I thought you were saying Esther.
A little bit. Ezra, second Ezra. Ezra. Anyway, just like you said, the sister was looking at her estate and she seen that, hey, I didn't need this. So guess what, sister could have easily took all that stuff if she wanted. But sister was humble. I don't need this. I don't need that. I don't need this. A lot of times our sisters, we just look at our sisters in our walk. Boy, Esau will flood you with all kind of stuff. Boy, sisters have all kind of things. Guess what? We be content with the things that the Most High God give us. Man. Hey, that's the humbleness in her, though. Go ahead.
Read verse 15 again,
Verse 15, Esther chapter 14. Thou knowest all things, O Lord. Thou knowest that I hate the glory of the unrighteous, and abhor the bed of the uncircumcised.
Meaning the other nations, read on.
and of all the heathen.
And she said that she hate the what? The other nations. What precept can brothers use for that thing? Who also hated the other nations?
Second Ezra 6 and 56. I'm sorry.
And what?
And then
That's what I'm looking for.
And then Psalm 147, 19 and 20.
I'm looking for the one. I'm gonna check yours, Brother King, but the one I was looking for was where King David said, "Do not I hate thee, O Lord, that hate thee." Psalms 1 with a perfect hatred.
Yeah.
Psalms 139 verse 21. That's something that brothers can precept that thing with, showing that hey, we hate what our God hates, and we love what He loves. Let's get there right quick.
The book of Psalms, chapter 139, verse 20. For they speak against thee wickedly, and thine enemies take thy name in vain. Do not I hate them, O Lord, that hate thee?
Read on now.
And am not I grieved with those that rise up against thee?
Because guess what? The Persian and Medes rose up against us. Read on now.
I hate them with perfect hatred.
King David said, "What
I hate them with perfect
He
hatred.
said he hate them with a perfect hatred." Read on up.
I count them mine enemies.
And the other nations are counted as our enemies. Meaning what? They have no good interest at seeing us rise, either equal to them and damn sure not above them. No